All right, guys, what's up? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And man, oh man, Splitgate 2 just released a big ass teaser for their upcoming map editor / map creator mode. And this is actually a really big deal, whether you are into that sort of thing or not, especially when you look at, for instance, with Halo, we didn't get Forge in Halo for about nearly, I think, 3 years or so after launch, if I'm not mistaken. I could be off by like anywhere from 6 months to a year, so I apologize about that. But it was a long time until we got Forge. Now, granted, we got the best version of Forge. However, if we had Forge from the launch, from the get-go, right? Kind of like how we did in the past with Halo 3, for instance. If we had something like that into the game, I think Halo Infinite would have retained a lot more players, and I think a lot more things would have definitely been created by the community much sooner and would have gotten released much sooner. And then on top of that, of course, you got your custom game browser and all that kind of stuff that goes with it, et cetera, et cetera. You guys know this. But the fact that this is going to be available on beta and then obviously at full launch is a really huge deal. It's going to help with the longevity of Splitgate 2. It's going to help the community do their part in terms of mold Splitgate 2 into, you know, this game that could go way far and potentially way beyond from what it originally offers. Because when you're talking about a free-to-play game in year one, and then you fast forward to, like, let's say year 2 or year 3, et cetera, games naturally evolve, right? So if the game continues to naturally evolve and to continue to get better, I think this is one of the tools that's actually going to make that difference, especially since you're also continuing to put the game in the hands of the community in that way. And it also gives another different form of communication from the community over to the devs, because if the devs are seeing that players are creating such and such and such, and it's really popular, and if, you know, people in social media are talking about it, if content creators are talking about it, et cetera, it's a really big deal. And, you know, speaking of the Splitgate community, I really love the fact that we have a passionate community. You know, I'm looking at the comment section in some of my more recent videos, you know, ever since I started covering the game, and I see a lot of passion there, and this is great. You know, I've obviously seen it in Call of Duty, I've obviously seen it in X Defiant, you know, and it comes in many different forms, right? Sometimes it comes in the form of criticism, and sometimes it comes in the form of negativity, and also it comes in the form of positivity as well as those lukewarm moments in between, to where people are not sure in terms of what they think about any particular subject about the game, you know. But at the end of the day, as we get closer and closer, and we're 7 days away now as of the time of this recording, and this video is probably going to go up a little bit later today, you know, as time goes on, you know, the excitement for Splitgate 2 is definitely growing, and this is a bigger deal than a lot of people might think, because there are people out there that are not into this sort of thing. But trust me when I tell you, especially when you look at the history of Halo, Forge is a big deal, right? And the fact that in, you know, most recent times we really haven't gotten Forge at launch, and it was something that people were literally looking for launch, it was a big deal in the members of the community. So therefore, you know, with Splitgate 2, this is a huge deal. I also think that something like this would have been incredible for X Defiant as well. Like, for instance, like let's say, for instance, one of the things that a lot of creators like to do is they love creating, you know, old maps, you know, from old games and putting it into the game. Like, obviously Forgers did this with Halo, and they create new things such as Andy's Room. I, for one, have played a few multiplayer matches a few years ago or whatever, or how, no, it wasn't a few years ago. It was probably like maybe a year, give or take, ago. To where I actually looked at the custom game browser and I went into Andy's Room and I was like, holy crap, it was so cool. And it was even featured in other channels as well. And I'm pretty sure I made a video about it in my channel as well. So, but man, was it incredible to see, right? And that was a lot of time that was spent into there. So the fact that devs are giving us some of their tools, they're giving community members some of their tools, is only going to help the game, you know, survive that much longer, right? And we don't want just the Splitgate to just survive, but we want it to thrive, and we want it to continue to evolve as time goes on. Now, obviously, the game itself, from a foundational standpoint, needs to remain Splitgate, and I think the developers are very, you know, adamant about that, because they're, you know, the game needs to have the foundation that it has. It still needs to be Splitgate. You don't want a game to lose its identity, right? Or to add too many flavors of something else in there, or else it just becomes something completely different. different, and therefore it's going to get very mixed opinions from the community members themselves. And again, sometimes less is more, right? You don't need too many ingredients to make a masterpiece, right? You need just enough, right? And whenever you do add an ingredient, you have to be really careful in terms of what to add, because if you add the wrong ingredient, it can ruin the whole thing, right? Going back to my food analogy, pretty much the same thing, right? You have an amazing pizza, but one topping that the community doesn't like, or like, let's say, you know, something gets on that pizza, it can ruin, you know, everything, right? So yeah, this actually has me excited, and I'm not even a forager or a map creator myself, but I'm really excited to see what the community is going to do. And the fact that this is available on beta and is obviously going to be in full form on release is huge, especially when you consider the times. So, and that just goes to show you that the devs themselves, you know, obviously have their, you know, they have all these different things in mind when it comes to the game. And for me, I'm excited, because the longer a game like this stays up, the better, right? And ultimately, the most important thing, and this is getting a little bit deeper here, I had in one of my recent streams, when I was streaming Halo, and this was only a matter of days ago, a former X-Defiant dev who I haven't spoken to before, because I've spoken to a couple of them in previous streams. A former X-Defiant dev came to my stream, you know, had some really nice things to say, which was very, very humbling. And but at the same time, you know, ultimately the X-Defiant devs were basically laid off, and there are still many of them to this day that still haven't found work ever since, and it's not easy. Some of them got lucky, but not all of them did. And at the end of the day, when you have developers that are creating so many things and they spend so much time meeting deadline after deadline after deadline in order to create things for, you know, players that are essentially playing a free-to-play game, or like, let's say, you know, it's a free-to-play game, but they've, you know, spent some money in the store or in the battle pass or whatnot. You know, ultimately they have the access to the game for free, which is something that we can't say nowadays. I mean, games are going to be $80 now, in some cases even more expensive. So if you're getting a high quality free to play multiplayer shooter that's just offering you so much, and that's obviously listening to the community and is trying to be transparent as possible and wants to do right by the community, especially in the year 2025, it's something we can't underestimate. So, you know, I think this is going to be not a big deal for the community that plays the game and that uses this map creator / editor, but obviously for the devs as well, because we want these hardworking people to remain employed, and we want this game to continue to evolve over time, because Splitgate 2 in year 1 is going to be what it is, right? But then when you get into year 2 and then year 3 and so on and so forth, you know, the game should continue to improve as time goes on, right? And evolve. So, and this is one of those tools to where, you know, this is a big deal that can make the game survive and thrive in that aspect. And I said it, and like I said, it's a form of communication to the devs as well. They're going to be looking at what community members are doing with this mode, so, and how other, you know, people react to some of the things that are created as well. So this is a big deal. And as I close here, one more thing I want to say is that I'm really excited about the passion of this community, because in terms of my last video or two, you know, in the comment section, I saw a lot of familiar things, like back in the day, years ago, when I covered Call of Duty, there was some passion there in the comment section. And when I covered X-Defiant, there was passion in the comment section. And of course, you know, over the last couple of Splitgate videos, there was some passion in the comment section as well. A lot of community members, you know, a lot of Splitgate community members are really excited about the game. They have a lot of knowledge about the game, and you know, the passion comes in many different forms. Sometimes it comes in the form of toxicity. Sometimes it comes in the form of criticism. Sometimes it comes in the form of, you know, cautious optimism, and then obviously it comes in the form of optimism, just full on as well. So it's good to see that. It's good to see that kind of variety. And again, speaking of variety, this is what a mode like this, or a feature like this, should I say, adds into the game, right? So as long as the foundation of the game itself does not get severed, I think Splitgate 2 has immense potential. And you're talking to somebody who's, you know, this is coming from a person who's been playing multiplayer shooters since 2003 for 22 years, and obviously been covering them here on YouTube for about 10 years now, over 10 years, give or take, you know. So I, for one, am excited. So I can't wait to see what community members make. But with that being said, I want to know what community members have in mind ever since they saw the little teaser that Splitgate 2 officially released not too long ago. What do you guys think of this whole Forge mode? What are you guys optimistic? Are you guys like, what do you want to see? And of course, what are your overall thoughts on the matter in general? And as of now, we are 7 days away from the release of Splitgate 2. So I, for one, am excited. I know a lot of you guys out there as well. And Splitgate 2 also has, the truth is they also have, being the new kid on the block, so to speak, even though the franchise itself isn't necessarily new because of the prequel, Splitgate 2 still has a lot to prove, but the game hasn't even released yet, and it's already proving a lot. So again, I tip my hat to the developers. I can't wait to see what happens. And of course, for this game to thrive and survive, we got to keep these developers employed. And at the same time, I think this game has immense potential. So with that being said, guys, I can't wait to read what you guys have to say in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this video as always, and we're 7 days away and I'm excited about it. So let all thoughts be known down below. And thank you again for taking the time to watch and or listen, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.